How do you build stamina to learn in reading and writing? I had to make it really intentional. It's kind of like putting together a workout program for physical endurance. Well, mental endurance is a thing too. So I set aside and scheduled time in the classroom for students to build their reading stamina. They already did a lot of writing with quick writes almost daily. So we were trying to really focus on how do I build their reading stamina in class. And so one of the ways I did this was front load a lot of information to them so they knew the purpose of what we were doing. And then we went through a process where we're tracking our growth as readers. It was pretty simple. I didn't put too much thought into it, but if I were to do it all over again, here's some things I would consider. If you know me, this is one of my favorite graphics. This is something I like to share with students. I would say, along with standards and policy and yada yada, here's my goal for you every time you enter my classroom. I want to get your brain so lit by lighting up these areas of the brain because you're hearing words, seeing words, speaking, generating words through writing. We're doing this every day, and so we're going to be better at it by increasing our stamina in reading and writing. But probably my other favorite little bit of information I like sharing with students is this, taken from Dr. John Medina, that talks about attention span. And you see that you can get the average attention span by taking a person's age, adding the number 2, and that's about how many minutes they have of focused attention before they start wandering off and thinking about other things. Honestly, that's why these TikToks are so great, because you got about 3 minutes of free time, and that's all your attention that you can give towards learning about something. But although this is the average, and maybe students are maybe below their average according to this old information, especially now with so many distractions, we're going to work on building this up by using this as our foundation for setting aside reading time, dedicated, silent, sustained, independent reading time in class. So now that they understand the purpose and like the research behind it, we start talking about our own reading process with our students so they can understand, like, we have a writing process, but how are you as a reader? If you were to choose a category, which of these following common genres describe you as a person? Maybe it's a mix. Have them discuss with themselves which do you think best describes their personality. Here are some environmental factors to take into consideration. When they do read, when they are successful reading, what are some things that they need in order to be a fully engaged reader? Do they like print books? Do they like digital books? Do they like to read nonfiction or more fiction fantasy books? Do they like to have a playlist going on in the background while they're reading, or do they need silence? I find that most kids who don't read in class, it's because it's too loud in class. Maybe they need a drink. I need coffee. I do my best reading with lots of coffee loaded into my veins. I wouldn't expect most students have had a discussion about their own personal reading process and really developed that yet, but at least you've discussed yours and they can start developing theirs in your class. But then we also got to talk about some reading rules for the classroom and how we're going to design our class to build stamina. 4 factors to consider is how you're going to keep time, the reading material, the purpose, and how you're going to track their growth, how they level up their stamina. Timer is pretty easy. I just like Google Timer. You can find flashier timers where it's very, I find them distracting actually. They're animated for different reasons, but I just like this one. It's very clean and it's very loud when it goes off. I use it for everything, but especially when we're building reading stamina, I'll set it for whatever the age group's average attention span is based on the research. Most of the time it's 12 minutes, and so every other week I'll raise it up another minute. So we'll start at 12 minutes, we'll raise it to 13 minutes, and as the semester goes on, we get up to 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then at the end of class I want to do something where they're discussing or sharing what they read, which is everything right here. Like, how are you going to have them share what they're reading about? Are they going to talk about it, either with you or someone else in the room? Are they going to write about it? They can write questions about it. They can summarize it. Or are they going to do something more creative and digital, like take a picture of what was an interesting page and put a tweet out, put a hashtag that summarizes what they read in class that day? And what are they reading? What about the reading material? I had them choose out of my library. I lost a lot of graphic novels that way. They might bring a book from home. It was really student choice. Luckily, there's a lot available on the internet too. There's amazing resources online. There's always something to read. There's never an excuse to not have something to read. If you have an internet connection, I would definitely have some articles printed out for students who forgot their book. Luckily, when you have something like this, there is a topic that can interest anybody. There's really no excuse. You can print out a variety of topics and just have them ready and they can choose one of those. Same thing with genre. If you, whatever you're teaching in class, whatever subject area, there's something for you to practice this in your classroom. At the end of the 12 minutes, 13 minutes, whatever, you're going to have them summarize what they read, either through discussion or writing. I really like this one where they have to write about it and then like send a note to someone else about what they're reading. Like, I think that's fun. We should bring this back. This was good. This is good. It's not as disruptive as cell phones to me, but that's my old man rant. So what environmental factors are we talking about? We're going to test these environmental factors as we build our stamina with our students. We're going to try reading with music, with chatter, and with silence, but I would say never with headphones. Headphones were the biggest distraction for my students. If I let them choose their own music off of their cell phone, it was too much. They focus more on that. But I think this is what causes the biggest argument with students. When we're talking about the perfect reading environment for them to practice their reading process and build that stamina, they'll argue that they listen or they're able to pay more attention with headphones in. And so that's why we're going to test that by, of course, not allowing headphones. At least this is my preference. And we're going to go through these processes. Let me show you how. It starts with this resource right here, cognitivity.com. They have a great white paper on research about background noise or white noise that helps us be more creative and more productive. And these are just background noises of like if you were sitting in a coffee shop or a library or a lunchtime counter, and it is just general murmuring in the background. Very much like Peanuts cartoons. I'm dating myself, but Peanuts cartoons, when you hear the adults talking, they're like, that's what this is like. And it's really interesting. Go check out the research tab. Maybe read it with students. I had this playing in the speakers in my classroom while we practice reading. And then the next week when we practice our reading workouts, I would put music on, but not music with lyrics. That is where we get really distracted because we tend to, especially if it's a song we recognize, we're too distracted thinking about the lyrics than the reading. So you need instrumental beats, and there's plenty to choose from. I love Chill Hop or Lo-Fi Girl. They're both made for study time, concentration time. Great beats. It's got that jazz hip hop kind of infusion, that's my jam, besides 90s rock, of course. So this is another thing I like to put on in my background in my classroom all the time, and we'll practice reading with that. Of course, it never hurts to try silence as well, every once in a while, just to mix it up. Because there are some students that will admit, yeah, I focus more if it's silent. Which for those students, I allow them to have headphones in. They're just not plugged into any device. But they can have the headphones in just to try to drown out and create silence for themselves. And they don't have to listen to my background Cognitivity or the Chill Hop playlist. So how are you going to track all that? Of course, students should just keep their own reading log, but I like to take it one step further. And if they're fortunate enough to have technology in the classroom, why not start a Goodreads account? I think most high schoolers by now should have an email account, or we should start one with them. One that sounds professional. I always taught my students you want one that represents you professionally. So just your name. You don't want a crazy email address like babyb4926, something crazy like that. But go start a Goodreads account, and the whole class can join each other and check their progress on the books. Maybe they can update it by the end of their reading workout time with you.